They say you never truly escape your past. No matter how far you run, how much time passes, or how much you've changed, one unexpected moment can pull you right back in. James had no idea that stepping into an old, dusty shop in a forgotten town would force him to confront the one person he never wanted to see again. James arrived in the small, unremarkable town on a gray Monday morning. It wasn't a scenic getaway, nor did it hold any charm. The streets were lined with aging wooden fences, peeling paint, and a downtown that barely stretched across a few blocks. Every day here felt exactly like the one before. But James wasn't here for sightseeing. His job sent him. A routine assignment, a simple system installation at a local company. No one else on the team wanted to make the trip, so he took it. No expectations, no rush. And most importantly, no personal attachments. By the afternoon of his third day, after another mind-numbing meeting and a disappointing cup of coffee, James decided to take a walk. The town had little to offer beyond quiet streets and the slow hum of life passing by. With nothing better to do, he wandered aimlessly until he stumbled upon an antique shop. The display window was smudged with dust, and the faded sign above the door barely held on to its letters. Yet, something about it drew him in. Nostalgia, boredom, maybe just the need to see something, anything, different. The bell above the door gave a tired jingle as he stepped inside. The air carried the scent of old wood and forgotten stories. Shelves stacked with weathered books, faded paintings, and clocks that hadn't ticked in years surrounded him. As he moved through the clutter, running his fingers over relics of lost time, a voice, steady yet soft, called his name. James. He froze. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. Slowly, he turned, heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and something dangerously close to dread. There she was. Claire. She stood just a few feet away, a porcelain teacup in her hands. Her hair was shorter, lighter, but her eyes, those damn eyes, were the same. The same ones that had captivated him once. The same ones that had betrayed him. 9 years. That's how long it had been since he last saw her. 9 years since he discovered the truth. 9 years since she watched him walk, away without a single tear, without a single word to stop him. Claire. His voice was barely more than a breath. She offered a small, uncertain smile. I never thought I'd see you here. James scoffed, the old bitterness rising to the surface. Neither did I. I also didn't think you'd still be alive. Claire took a step closer, ignoring the sharp edge in his voice. I live here now. James blinked. This town? Claire didn't belong in a place like this. She belonged to a world of rooftop parties, late-night laughter, and broken promises. I moved here after. She hesitated. After everything fell. Apart. James crossed his arms. You mean after you married the guy you cheated on me with? She looked down. Yeah, I stayed with him for 6 years. But that ended too. Silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. The bell above the door jingled again as another customer entered, breaking the spell. Claire took a step back, giving James space, but her gaze remained steady. I know I don't have the right to ask anything from you, she finally said. But would you have a coffee with me? James hesitated. Every logical part of him screamed to walk away, but curiosity, the cruel, unrelenting kind, held him in place. Just a coffee. A few minutes later, they sat across from each other in a quiet cafe with wooden tables and floral curtains. The conversation started stiff, filled with awkward pauses and cautious glances. But as the minutes stretched on, words flowed more easily. Claire spoke of her life, of how she'd traded the chaos of the city for the stillness of this town. She found peace here, she said. A simpler life. A quieter one. James talked about his job, his travels, the relationships that never quite fit. I guess after you, no one else really did, he admitted, half smiling, half serious. Claire sighed. I know I hurt you. I know nothing I say will change that. But if it means anything, I regret it. Every single day. James stared into his empty cup, seeing his own reflection, fractured but still standing. When Claire asked if he'd have lunch with her the next day, he should have said no. Instead, he said yes. The next afternoon, the sky was a crisp, clear blue, as if the universe itself had conspired to set the perfect scene. James dressed more carefully than usual, smoothing his shirt twice, adjusting his watch, running a hand through his hair more times than necessary. He told himself it was just lunch. But deep down, he knew it was more than that. Claire was already waiting for him at a small restaurant nestled behind low trees and a white picket fence. When she saw him, she gave that same hesitant smile, as if unsure whether she was allowed to feel happy. The hug they shared was brief, but enough for him to catch her familiar perfume, the same one from years ago. They talked, they laughed, they remembered. Over glasses of wine, old memories resurfaced. Their adventures, their inside jokes, the warmth that had once been theirs. It wasn't passion, it wasn't nostalgia. It was something in between, something unnamed but undeniably there. As the late afternoon sun bathed the town in golden light, Claire reached across the table and placed her hand over his. This time, he didn't pull away. And when she whispered, "Want to go to your hotel?" He hesitated only for a moment before unlocking his car. What happened that night was quiet, almost reverent. No promises, no declarations of love. Just two people searching for a piece of themselves they had lost. But as the days passed, James started noticing things. Claire never suggested public places. She always chose quiet, hidden spots. She avoided the downtown streets. She hesitated, before holding his hand in view of others. At first, he brushed it off. Then, he started wondering. By the sixth night, as he sat on the edge of his hotel bed, shirt unbuttoned and whiskey in hand, the truth slowly crept in. Some ghosts don't just haunt the past. Sometimes they're still hiding in the present. Storm brewed inside him, silent but relentless. The hotel room lay in dim stillness, the bedside lamp casting flickering shadows across the walls. Beyond the window, the town slumbered, or at least feigned it, just like Claire used to when they shared a bed long ago, back when their love was a mere illusion, a structure held up by hollow gestures and unspoken truths. James exhaled, fingers pressed against his temple. The cycle repeated itself like a cruel joke. The same secluded hotels, the same hurried departures, the same artful dodges, always accompanied by that practiced, effortless smile, as if everything was perfectly fine. But it wasn't. It never had been. For a while, he had offered himself excuses. Maybe Claire had a penchant for privacy. Maybe the wounds of her last relationship hadn't healed. Maybe she was safeguarding herself from judgment. But James was no longer a man clouded by love's illusions. He had learned to read between the lines, to listen to the silence beneath the words. And tonight his instincts were loud and clear. No confrontations, no interrogations. Just observation. The next afternoon, Claire arrived as usual, a lemon cake in one hand, 2 coffees in the other, gifts from what she claimed was the best cafe in town. James played along, smiling, nodding, feigning ease, but inside he was watching, waiting. They talked lightly, their words floating on the surface, untouched by the depths beneath. And then, with calculated ease, he slipped in the suggestion. "Stay with me tonight." Claire hesitated, not with the surprise of an unexpected request, but with the certainty of someone who already knew their answer. She bit her lip, glanced at the clock, and murmured, "Not tonight. I have plans." "I'll drive you home then," he offered, his tone casual, effortless. "No need. I've already called a cab. Too quick, too prepared." James merely nodded. "All right. Take care." As soon as she disappeared into the lobby, he moved. Lights off, jacket on, keys in hand. He followed. The cab pulled away, weaving through the quiet streets, and James kept his distance, a shadow in pursuit. The city lights blurred past, melting into darkness as they entered a neighborhood of quiet luxury. The cab came to a halt before an elegant home, grand, pristine, its windows glowing with warmth. Claire stepped out, glanced around, then slipped. Through the gate like someone who belonged there. James parked a short distance away, heart thudding in his chest. He had expected this, yet seeing it unfold made it more real, more damning. And then the final confirmation. 30 minutes later, a sleek black car cruised onto the street, its tires whispering against the pavement as it turned into the driveway. James didn't need to see the driver's face. He recognized the car. He always would. 9 years ago, it had been parked outside his own home while Claire stood before him, telling him they needed to talk. It was the car of the man she had betrayed him with, the man she had married, the same man she swore was no longer in her life. James let out a breathless chuckle, devoid of humor. Classic Claire. He wasn't shocked. That was the tragedy of it all. The betrayal wasn't new. It was a rerun of an old scene, a play performed once more, but this time, the script had changed. This time, James read it twice, not the same then man. Set his phone aside. 2 days passed. Under the pounding spray Tuesday of a hot morning, shower, his phone plan took form. A message from Claire. He didn't want revenge. That was petty. What he wanted was something far more powerful. Truth, undeniable and merciless. By noon, he had a new phone number. A message composed, direct, and unsigned. Today at 5:01 p.m., Willow Park. Your wife will be there with another man. See for yourself. A quick online search, a few keystrokes, and he had what he needed. Claire's husband's number. Public records made it almost too simple. Would the man come? Perhaps. It didn't matter. What mattered was that Claire would finally face the wreckage of her own making. Not through arguments, not through evasions, but through the cold, raw glare of reality. At 4:50 p.m., James arrived at the park. The sky stretched wide and clear, a soft breeze rustling the canopy above. She had chosen well, a secluded spot beneath an ancient tree, its branches draped in blossoms. The kind of place where lovers met, believing they were unseen. 2 p.m. on the dot, Claire appeared, a beige dress, a small thermos in hand. "I brought tea," she said, her smile warm, familiar, deceptive. James returned it with an expression she didn't recognize, an unsettling calm, quiet, and unreadable. Claire had spent years mastering the game. She just never expected to lose. James barely listened, offering short replies, his eyes fixed on the gravel path. Claire moved closer, fingers cold against his face. "Do you ever miss us?" she whispered. He held her gaze. "Are you ready to be honest?" She hesitated, feigning ignorance. Before she could respond, a voice shattered the air. "Claire, what are you doing?" She spun around, pale as a ghost. Jacob stood there, the man from her past, the one she swore was gone. "You've been cheating on me," Jacob seethed. Claire stammered. I felt alone." James stepped back. "You two have a lot to discuss." Without another word, he walked away, leaving them in their chaos. The wind brushed his face, and for the first time, he felt free. Days passed. The silence was different, lighter. Then a message. Claire was waiting in the hotel lounge. He found her staring into a teacup, looking worn, fragile. "I left, Jacob," she murmured. James arched an eyebrow. "And why are you here?" "To apologize." Her voice cracked. "Not for another chance, not for love, just to say I regret everything." James exhaled, watching the leaves stir outside. "You were my final test," he said. "The proof that I've learned. Love without respect is poison. Missing someone isn't an excuse to lose yourself. And if someone deceives you twice, no amount of love can fix them." Claire lowered her head. James stood. "I don't hate you anymore. I just want peace. And that doesn't include you." He paused. "Do me a favor. Don't look for me again." Tears welled in her eyes. She nodded, picked up her purse, and left. No drama. Just the weight of consequences finally sinking in. James sat back, flipping through his newspaper. Outside, the wind carried the leaves away. Some people enter our lives like autumn, beautiful, unforgettable, but never meant to stay. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and turn on notifications. See you next time.